Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our graduate application camp series. Today's session is on funding dilemma. I will begin very shortly. Just let's give a minute or two for everyone to join in, and then we can talk about few housekeeping rules here. I request you to please introduce yourself by typing in your name, who you are. For example, if your name is Akanksha, put that there, Akanksha student, and where you're from in the chat box, so that we'll know who you are, and we'll try and get your questions answered as well. And if possible, do use your headphones for enhanced audio quality if you have them. And I will also request all of you to please mute your microphones. And also please type in your questions in the questions, or if you're using Zoom platform, and in the comment section if you're joining in live, from our other social media channels. Please put your questions in the comment section there, right? And we will also put in some of our resources, some of the links in the comments comments box at the end of the session. Now, without any delay, let's begin today's session. Very quickly about Education USA, then I'll introduce you, our speaker today, and what we're going to be talking about. So Education USA is supported by the US Department of State, and our mandate is to provide accurate, comprehensive, current, and if I may also add, unbiased information on US higher education. So in that sense, we are your official source on US higher education. We have over 430 centers across 170 plus countries. And in India, we have 7 centers in the cities of Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Mumbai, and New Delhi. We will also put up all the contact details for all these centers. You can reach out to a center, and we'll tell you how you can reach out to these centers and what kind of services that are provided by us. I will tell you about all that in a second. Now, at Education USA, we have divided the whole application process into 5 simple steps. On your screens, you can see, starting with researching your options, then financing your studies. Third one is completing your application. Fourth is your visas. We work very closely with the embassies, and the visa officers also do sessions like these on the visa process. And the last one is pre-departure orientation. So today's session technically is about step 2, where we'll be talking about financing your graduate studies in the United States. But like I said, we under this app camp series, we have had many sessions. So this would be the last session, in fact, as part of this series. So if you want, if you've missed any of those sessions in the past, you can always reach out to us and ask for a recording to those links, and we'll be happy to share those with you as well. Now, very quickly before we begin the presentation, let's look at how you can get in touch with Education USA. We have a mobile app. You can download it on your iOS devices or Android devices, and you can research about schools, find out about financing, the application process, visas and departures. It's a ready reckoner. There's a lot of help that is available. And of course, we are on almost all popular social media handles: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. YouTube again has a lot of wonderful video resources which you can access at any point of time. And we are also on Instagram now. So you can reach out and connect with us on any of these applications and portals. So please feel free to subscribe and follow us. And now on your screens, you can see some of the services that Education USA India provides. So please do sign up to get updates from Education USA, or you can even visit our website educationusa.state.gov, and also usief.org.in, where you will find the details to all our calendar of events. We have a national toll-free line. You can call us Monday to Friday between 10 and 5 p.m. as well. And we also have free virtual sessions on the 5 steps that I was talking about every day. So all these links are available here and also on the website. So you can, if you are joining for the first time with us, I would advise or recommend you to please attend one of these basic orientation sessions, and then you can certainly get in touch and attend many of our other sessions and seek all the services that we provide to you. You can, of course, get one-on-one advising sessions with an advisor, and we also have membership models. So please do visit our website. All the details are there. You can take an advising membership, a guided advising membership there, and we'll put the links also in the chat box. Please, like I mentioned, if you have any questions, please do put them in the questions tab and also in the comment section. All right, so these are our contact details. You can take a screen grab and reach out to our Education USA Center nearest to you. So Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Mumbai. And I'm based out of Hyderabad office. My name is Suhail, and I am an Education USA advisor. So we have wonderful advisors at every center, so you can reach out and seek any kind of advice or support that you might need with regard to studying in the United States. All right, so today I have a special guest with me, Abhyuday Pai. He is the admissions ambassador at New York University Tandon School of Engineering. We will have a question answer session with him, and he will also give you examples. So please, if you have any questions, please do type in the chat box, and Abhyuday will answer them after a brief presentation today on financing your studies in the United States. So without that's Abhyuday there. So we will have the question answer sessions once I finish the basics and some of the terms that you need to understand, and what are the things that you need to keep in mind, especially while you're looking or while you're looking at how to finance or fund your graduate studies in the United States. So welcome, Abhyuday, and please do put in your questions for Abhyuday in the chat box, and we will discuss, and Abhyuday will answer them after the session. All right, so in today's session, which we'll cover in about next 25 minutes or so, we will talk about some of the basic facts, basic terminology, and then we will take a look at how you should be taking or counting the costs, or basically understanding what are the costs that are involved in studying in the United States, right? And also, we will try and identify some of the sources, how you can think of funding your studies, your graduate studies in the United States. And also, very importantly, we'll learn about various options that you will have, how you can reduce your educational costs. This is mostly after you go to the US, and some will also probably include things like scholarships before you actually go to the US. So we will briefly take a look at those aspects as well, and also all these strategies that are required, what is that the universities would be looking at in a student's profile. We will discuss about these with our guest today, Abhyuday from NYU Tandon School of Engineering. So we will talk about all of these aspects too. So, all right. So before we begin, just take a look at few facts here. Now, it is very important for you to understand that the cost of living is very varied across United States. And what is cost of living, by the way? We will come to it in a second. Just remember the term cost of living. It is different from tuition fees. So remember that, right? Cost of living is very different. Some places, especially the Midwest, are much cheaper when compared to some of the regions in the US, like say for example the New York region or the Bay Area. As you may have heard. So make sure that you understand, you do a little bit of research about what the living costs are in each of these regions of the United States as well, right? And but having said that, I would also like to tell you this. There's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of choice that is available to you as a student, as an international student, both in terms of the number of schools that you can apply to, right? And also the number of programs. And with the right amount of planning, when you do your proper research and homework, you can in fact choose a school where you can choose a school based on your budgetary requirements also. I would just like to request you to please put your microphones on mute. Right. So I was just saying that, with right planning, right research, you can choose a school that's the best fit for you in many aspects, including financial and budgetary aspects as well. Right? If you do this step properly, in fact, there could be a lot of return on your investment, right? So that's the whole presentation today. We will be talking about all of this in detail and have a discussion about these with Abhyuday at the end of this session as well. Right now, first things first, let's take a look at some of the basic facts that you need to keep in mind. Now, many of you will have this question of what is the cost of, or how much will it cost for me to study in the US? Right now, frankly, the answer for that is it depends, because you need to go to the university website, or you need to. It is very varied. It differs from school to school, program to program, region to region. So that is something that you need to keep in mind. And also now, first things first, like I said, just check, have a discussion with your family, your sponsors. It could be your parents, or it could be your family members, right? Who are willing to sponsor, or it could be your own things. Just figure out, what is the amount that you are comfortable with spending for your study in the United States, because you will be surprised, and you will find universities that are like charge like the tuition fee. We'll take a look at those examples also in a bit. You will see that the difference is huge. Even if I give you an average number, that will not be 100% accurate, because again, there's a lot of schools that are there in the US with a lot of differences in the tuition fee, in the living expenses, with all these factors that you need to keep in mind. So the first important step for you would be to discuss with your family, discuss with your sponsors, or you need to figure it out by yourself. How much money is that you can contribute? What is the amount that you have with yourself? And after that, it's important that you have identify the sources. Now, it could be your own savings, it could be from your parents, it could be extended family contribution, or it could be other sources, including, say, for example, your loans, or it could be, in some cases, scholarships, or in some cases, fellowships, and all these aspects as well. So, we will, like I said, get into each of these aspects too. Now, the most important factor here is for graduate education in the US, especially the masters. And for international students, it is mostly merit-based scholarship. There are a few scholarships that are available. These are highly competitive, and make sure that these are available at the university level. Sometimes they keep changing year on year, and then it is best that you get in touch with the university, go to the university website, and take a look at what kind of scholarships or funding that is available at these universities. Now, scholarships is something that the university will give you in form of an award, and apart from this, there will be various other fundings that are available to you once you go there as a student. Most of this information is available on the website, so I would recommend that you go to the website and check these details, and also make sure that you are aware of the various requirements. What are their standardized test requirements? Are they asking for a GMAT, or are they asking for GRE, or do they even have subject GREs. These, different universities have different requirements, and in fact, some of the universities schools are now, making a test optional, waiving off some of these tests. So it all depends on the university. They're very autonomous institutions in the US, US higher education institutes. So make sure that you go to the website and check, because the answer to most of these things is it totally depends on the university, and the universities are free to decide, what they can charge or what kind of scholarships they can offer to international students and for what programs. So make sure that you are aware of all of these aspects as well. So, if you missed our previous sessions on shortlisting, please do reach out to us. There are links, and we can also give you an appointment, and we can discuss about those other aspects. So, because it's very important for you, when you're doing your shortlisting, keep all of these aspects and points in mind, so that you will find a school that's a best fit or a good fit for you in all the aspects, including budgetary aspects too. Now, moving on, I would say, like, everything needs a plan. Of course, when you are making an investment of money and time in US higher education system, you should definitely have a proper plan. Start with, in fact, because we were discussing about budgets, I would say, start with making a budget, right? How much that you can contribute, and also take a look at, figure out and do research about, what are the things that can help you in reducing your costs, right? This funding will include scholarships, it can include fellowships, it can include some of the work options that you get after you go there. So be prepared, be aware of all of these aspects too. And after that, you will do a thorough research and shortlist universities and colleges and schools based on the kind of funds that are available for international students. And like I said, it is very important that you reach out to the school, to the university, to the institute that you're applying, and check for what kind of financial aid and scholarships funding that is available at these institutes. Go to the website if required. Please do reach out to them, ask them, because sometimes everything may not be there on the website, depending upon which country that you're going to, which program that you're opting for. There may be different scholarships that are available. And of course, you can also visit our website, educationusa.state.gov. There is some list of scholarships that are available. We do have a brief list there, and also a lot of information on step 2, which is funding and financing your graduate studies as well. Now, under when you're making this budget, it is important, and I've already mentioned that assess how much of personal funds do you have, right? Now, it is important for you to establish or understand what is the cost of attendance. Now, I will just briefly tell you, what the cost of attendance is. It includes your tuition fee plus living expenses. Now, these two things put together is cost of attendance. Make sure that you are taking into account the cost of attendance and not just living expenses or just the tuition fee, right? Now, this subtract this with the expected family contribution, that is the funds that you have through your personal savings or through loan or through your parents' contribution or contribution through your extended family or sponsors. Now, after this, if there's any shortfall, this is what you will need to think of and how you can fund this. Now, either you will have to look at scholarships, or you will have to figure out other sources for this, right? If there are any scholarships that the university is funding, or you can figure out other ways of funding this and how you can ease the budgetary when you are there in the United States as a student. Now, keeping all of these in mind, make sure that you develop a proper plan, and which we will be discussing in a second. Now, and one point that I would like to stress here is start as early as possible. So please do keep that in mind too. Now, because you should give yourself enough time while you're doing research, and Step 2, which is financing, goes hand in hand with researching, because it is an integral aspect of shortlisting. And when you look at these universities, this is something that you should be keeping in mind, right? Like I said, now cost of attendance vary. Costs are not same across the schools, and they vary by program, they vary by the region, right? That's something that you should always remember, and also keep in mind that there's a classification: public versus private universities. We will talk about this a little later in the presentation also, because sometimes depending upon your residency, depending upon your resident status, you may be eligible for in-state tuition, which is again not so common, but again, it is available at some institutes for certain students who hold certain kinds of residencies. You may be eligible after 1 year of stay there with some universities. Check, what are the differences about these aspects while you're doing research. And the following slide, I will, very briefly touch on those again as well, right? Now, I already discussed about the cost of attendance, which includes your tuition fee, your boarding, basically all your living expenses, your food expenses, your transportation, your medical insurances, your personal expenses, everything put together is what is cost of attendance. Now, this is the budget item that you should always account for, and not just, again, remember, not just tuition fee or living expenses alone, right? Now, even when you are submitting your financial documents to the university, they will be looking at these aspects. And even when you go to the visa counter, they will be asking you questions on these aspects too. So it is very important that you do your research properly and have thorough understanding of what your costs would involve and how you're planning to fund these. You should have a very solid, proper plan, especially when you answer to the university and later to the visa office where the visa window too. So please do keep that in mind. Now, I've included a couple of examples here, but let me just remind you that by no means this is an average or an indication of what the cost would be studying in the United States. Is just an example that I've included. There will be a lot of institutes which are much closer to it. There will be a lot of institutes which are much, much expensive than this. There will be a lot of institutes which are much, much cheaper than these as well. So this is an example of a public university, for example, from Wisconsin region. So if you look at the total cost of attendance, it says about $31,000, which is for residents. Now, whether you're a resident or not, it totally depends on the state rules, and the university will let you know whether you qualify for that or not. In some cases, you may qualify for this. So please get in touch with the university and get that information, especially for some of the American citizens, or want to live there for a year, or if you've already been living there on a different category visa, you may be eligible for this. So please do get in touch with the university, because this differs from state to state, and different states have different rules for these as well. Now, you can see the difference between a resident and a non-resident. And for Minnesota residents, the Wisconsin state has an agreement, so it's slightly cheaper for them. This is just an example. Like I said, you can always go to the website of the university and find all of this information, and you will also receive these numbers in your I-20s as well once you get. But I would strongly advise that you go to the website and check. And if you think that there's any kind of ambiguity, please do reach out to the university and ask them for the details. Now, this is on your screens. You can see an example of a private university in Maryland. So these are the various components. Of course, there are, like I said, there are different components involved in it, and books also. See, frankly, remember, books also comprise at the universities a lot of money. In fact, look at it. It's about $1,200 here. And it's almost a similar amount even here, right? It's a solid chunk of money, that percentage of money that you would be spending when you're studying those. So do account for all of these different budget items. All right, so let's very quickly take a look at how you can reduce your education expenses. So like I said in the beginning, it is very important that you find a school that's a good fit for you, right? And one of the aspects here is also the financial aspect, because look for a highest quality of education at your budgetary needs too, right? Because like I said, the expenses are, the range is wide, so you need to choose a school again, looking at your budgetary needs, and of course your other needs also, like the program of study, the region. If you are going for a specific region, that keep that in mind. Or if you're looking for studying in a specific sets of universities, keep that in mind. So all of these factors contribute to the best fit. If you're looking for a specific kind of a program, certain universities may have a very strong mechanical engineering program, or programs in film. So keep that also in mind, and then make sure that it also matches with your budget, right? So that's very important that you find a good fit in that sense. Like I said already, region matters a lot in terms of living expenses. It's there's a lot of variation there, right? And also there are certain accelerate options to accelerate your programs. So you can do certain credits while you're still in India itself, right? Or you can attend some of the summer or online courses while you're there as well, or while you're here, if available. It's again, this is something that it depends on the university. You can choose to do that. Also, that this is just one of the options, but do check with the university if that is available or not in the first place. Now again, like I said, there are some of the funding options that are available in the form of assistantships. We will talk about these also in our due course of presentation. So let me first talk about briefly about fellowships, and then I'll spend a few minutes on assistantships too. Now, fellowships is something that sometimes some of the government and non-governmental organizations award you. Again, they will have their own criteria for this. So make sure that if you are applying for any of the fellowships by the government or by any non-governmental organizations or private organizations also, whether you qualify for those, because they will have their own criteria, especially if these are fellowships by the government. Especially these are for PhD and research or postdoctoral programs. And of course, in the US, for postdoctoral programs, many schools, funding is available. Some schools, depending upon your profile, again, which we will talk about in a second, there could be funding available. It could be fully funded. It could be partially funded. It depends, right? So make sure that you are meeting those criteria if you're opting for any of the fellowships that are available in our country or by other organizations, private or non-governmental organizations. Now, assistance is something that that enables international students to earn some money. There are primarily three types of assistantships: teaching assistantships, graduate assistantships, and research assistantships. So you can work as a research assistant, TA, RA, or as a graduate assistant, right? Now, there are differences between these three. I will talk about this, and probably in some cases, you may have to get in touch with your professors beforehand, before you join the university, or you can do your own research, figure out from the website, or if required, get in touch with the professors also, which we will, Abhyuday will, throw more insight on these aspects in a bit. So basically, when you are a PhD student, you will be probably eligible for research assistantships, and when you're there as helping a professor for a class, you could be taken in as a teaching assistant. And sometimes, if there is any other administrative work related, it is referred to as graduate assistant. Right, this is not guaranteed. Of course, you will have to check with the university, and it should be available. Different professors, different departments of different kinds of funding. So make sure that when, again, like I said, in doing your research, check about all of these aspects as well. Right, and of course, they will before taking you in for these assistantships, they will take a look at your profile, and in some cases, they may also have an interview before they award you this. Right now, this again, we will discuss this with Abhyuday in our presentation. What is that a university looks at in a student? These are some of the factors, because it's a holistic process. Now, please do keep that in mind. It is not just one aspect of your profile or your application. They will look at multiple aspects, including your work experience, your research experience, your letters of recommendation, and all of these other aspects, including your standardized tests and your statements of purposes, and all of these aspects. But do remember that it is a holistic process. Your admissions itself is a very holistic process, and if they are awarding you a scholarship, they will look at your profile in a holistic manner and not just at one aspect. Now, many students, international students, also know that, prospective international students, that they know they can work on campus. Yes, as an international student, you are eligible to work on campus. One thing that I would like to stress here is that please do make sure that you are doing authorized work. And for international students, anybody who goes from India, for example, are usually eligible to work up to 20 hours a week while they're on campus as a student. If you have any questions about this, please do reach out to the designated school official. They will be able to help you out with what is authorized and what is not authorized. Usually, the thumb rule would be that, as long as it is being funded by the university or it is on campus, it is authorized work. But again, it varies. In some cases, this could be off campus. In very rare cases, please do remember that. But it is part-time, up to 20 hours. You can work in the library, you can work in the campus cafeteria, you can work, different options that are there, which I mentioned, but this is only up to 20 hours a week. It's not a full-time work. And now during the break, I will, pull up this slide where you can work during the semester breaks. You can do what is referred to as a practical training, CPT, curricular practical training. This is basically off-campus internship or practicum in a major, the area that you are specializing in. That's the key here. You can work, basically attain a practical experience in the area that you are specializing, right? Of course, this is as part of your F1 visa, and this will be issued to you by the designated school official. And please do check with your international student advisor or the DSO office. Right? And after this, apart from this, you also have the option of doing optional practical training, which is at the end of your course. Now, if it is a STEM-based program, which is science, tech, engineering, math program, you will be eligible to work up to 36 months. And if it's a non-STEM program, you will be eligible to work up to 18 months, which is 1 year plus 6 months. For a STEM-based program, it is 1 year plus another 24 months, extendable by 24 months. Now, what's a STEM program? What's a non-STEM program? I would say sometimes, it is very obvious, but sometimes it's not so obvious. So go to the website of the university and check whether the program has been designated as a STEM program or not, right? So keep that in mind. And all of this, like I said, depends on availability. Now, if you do your research properly and find a best fit, and if you've done your research properly, check with the professors and check what kind of options are these available. You most likely you will choose a school that's a good fit for you, and you will be able to find these opportunities easily. All right. So now, before we end, just some basic tips that you need to keep in mind. And after this, I will introduce Abhyuday, and we will talk to him about various aspects here. Please give yourself enough time when you're doing research. Have a thorough research on the step 2 when you're looking for financing your studies. Please do reach out to an EducationUSA advising center. Currently, we are doing only virtual advising. We have reference books and financial aid data available at our offices. You can access them once we resume our offices, right? So now I would say that let's, without any delay, let's introduce our speaker, Abhyuday. We have Abhyuday Pai here. Thank you, Abhyuday, for joining. Abhyuday is the International Students Admissions Ambassador at New York University Tandon School of Engineering. Thank you, Abhyuday, taking out time for us and joining today's session.
Thank you, Sohel. Good evening, everyone. So I'm the admissions ambassador for NYU Tandon School of Engineering. As you know that New York University has more than 8 different schools under New York NYU. I'm representing only School of Engineering and Science. So I'll be here today to answer all your questions. I hope I'll do just to answer all the questions you may have in this session. So I will switch off my video because it might go a bit blank in between when I'm talking. So I don't want any students to miss what I'm saying or whenever I'm giving you answers. So I will switch off the video so that it is clear when I talk. So Sohel, I think we can start
I request all of you to please put in your questions in the chat box, and we will take a look at them in a second, and Abhyuday will also answer. And now I will have some discussion with Abhyuday about these aspects. Now, Abhyuday, thank you again, for the introduction, and I would like to, understand some of these aspects, and maybe we can begin with some of the questions. Now, many students do ask us this question also: how important are standardized scores for funding? Given the pandemic, when universities are going test optional, how has this criteria been modified?
Sure. Standardized scores are very important when it comes to financial aid or funding or scholarship, because in any scholarship committee, when they're deciding on scholarships, they look at the academic aspects of the student, all the academic achievements of the student. So when I say academic achievements, it can be, it will be your GPA, your standardized scores, and also probably your research part. What have you done in your research, or what have you achieved in your 4 years of bachelor's or master's in your at your host institution. So given the pandemic, many universities have actually given waiver for the standardized tests. So what happens in this case is that now the scholarship committee will actually look into only your academics as the factor. Previously, it used to be standardized scores, but now a lot of universities are giving waivers in GRE and so on. So now the committee will actually look into only your academic achievements. That's your GPA, or if you have any research experiences, or if you have published any papers and so on. At NYU Tandon, we do offer merit-based scholarships for students. It is, we automatically evaluate every student for this scholarships. It's called merit-based scholarships. So in here, we actually look into your undergrad GPA and your standardized scores. But at NYU Tandon, we haven't given a blanket waiver for GREs as of now. Unless we are taking case by case basis, unless a student comes to us and says that it's impossible for the student to take because of the pandemic, then we do give waivers on a case by case basis. But as of now, we still are, GRE is required. And, so when it comes to our merit-based scholarships for students, we look into these aspects. I think I have, answered these questions. The question. Thanks.
Yes, Abhyuday. Thank you so much for that answer, Abhyuday. I think it's very important that like Abhyuday mentioned, to give importance to your the students need to give importance to their academic profile as well while looking for financial funding in the United States. Abhyuday, talking about this aspect, a very related question to this. How does the university understand the financial profile of an international student, and what information or aspects of an application package impact the chances of getting a scholarship for an international student?
Okay, so for this, when the scholarship committee is reviewing any application of an international student, they will not look into exactly the financial profile of the student, because at NYU Tandon, we don't even ask students to submit their financial documents when they are submitting their application. We ask their financial documents only after the fact of their admission into the university. So some universities do look into it, but most of the times when the scholarship committee is reviewing your application, or when reviewing for scholarships, they don't look into your financial documents. As I mentioned previously, they are looking for some good aspects on the academic profile, the GPA, and the standardized tests. So they are not much. They're not going to review much on your financial aspects. But coming back to this point, there are some universities who offer you need-based funding. So what it means is that when there is a need of a student, you'll have to do a separate form for that. Previously, NYU used to have these forms. It's called need-based funding, wherein you submit your financial documents, wherein you submit why is it difficult for you to fund your education. You'll have to write an essay. You'll have to show us proof of your need, why you cannot pay, and things like that. So there are universities which do need-based funding. At that point of time, they actually go into your financial profile, financial details, and so on. But other than that, if you are applying directly to any universities, I don't think so that they will review your financial details for the scholarship fund, or for the scholarship or any other fundings. Thanks, Soil. Hello?
Sorry, I think I was on mute. Abhyuday, thank you for that. I just have one comment or a question here. When you're talking about need-based funding, is it, the student needs to apply it as part of their application, or would it be after an admissions decision has been made?
It is usually after the admissions decision has been made. Once the student is admitted, then he will get an option to apply for that need-based funding. Definitely, it's after the admission.
All right. No, thank you, Abhyuday. And about the second aspect, if you would just like to discuss about, what are the other aspects of the application that have an impact on getting a scholarship?
So other aspects, as in, as I mentioned that, the first question itself, that, they are looking for a good GPA, a good percentage, and they might look into like which university you have graduated from. If it's a tier 1 or tier 2 university, that is also looked into. And again, other academic achievements of students, like if you have published a paper, or if you have done some research with a faculty, and if you have done some sometimes they look into internships also, but that internship factor is, you cannot consider it because it's an employment. So when it comes to scholarship, they're basically looking at all your achievements in your academic profile. So employment doesn't count into that when they are reviewing your scholarships.
All right. Thank you, Abhyuday, for that. And now, again, talking about the scholarships and funding, what kind of financial documents do universities in the US expect students to submit? And also, when are these to be submitted? Is it along, again, with the application, or at the time of admission?
So type of document to submit for financial documents is nothing but that, you will have to show the liquid funds in the account of the sponsorer. Your sponsorer can be your parents, or it can be, you can apply for a loan, you can show the loan letter. So these things you can show, but you cannot show physical assets, properties, or gold. So you cannot show all these things. It should be liquid funds in your SB account, or it can be in the current account also. So you can show these. You can get a letter from the bank where the account is, stating how much money is available at that particular time when he's giving the letter to you. And this is the thing you will have to submit to any university. So every universities, as Sohel was mentioning, every university is, the tuition is different, the fees are different, everything is different. So they every university's international office would every time, every year, would give you a particular amount that you need to show when you're submitting your financial document. So that is the only thing you have to show. So don't confuse too much into, like, whether this can be shown, that can be shown, and things like that. So it is just a liquid amount. So, and there are some questions that, whether PF can be shown and things like that. PF can be shown if the sponsorer can immediately remove the amount whenever required. So you would need a letter from the PF side also to show that. And also, uh, there can be multiple sponsors. It doesn't have to be just your your father or your mother, or it can be multiple. You just have to do multiple affidavit of support. The sponsors will have to give a letter saying that yes, you are agreeing to sponsor so and so for their education in such and such a university. So that letter has to be provided with the bank letter. So these are the simple things. Don't complicate it by going to some other things, and whether this can be given, that can be given, and things like that. A loan letter also can be shown as the financial document. So that, I think, I answered the first part. The
Yeah.
second part is, when are these to be submitted? Okay. So again, it depends from university to university. So a couple of universities will ask you at the time of submitting your application. They will ask you to submit when you are submitting your application. But there are universities who will not ask you in the beginning. Like, for example, at NYU Tandon, we don't ask any students to submit your financial documents until you have gotten accepted and you have paid the tuition deposit. Once you have paid the tuition deposit, confirming that you will attend NYU Tandem, that is the time you have to submit the financial documents. So it again depends from university to university. So as Sohel was mentioning, you need to actually look into the universities which you want to. So there's not like a generalized rule here. Every university is different. Every university is asking different types of documents, how you need to submit it. So the basic step is, first you will have to decide which program you want to pursue in United States. And once you do that, you will filter out universities, like maybe 10 to 15 universities, and in these 10 to 15 universities itself, you have to concentrate. Again, as I mentioned, there'll be different, every university is different. The documents what they ask will be different. How you need to submit these things also will be different. So please make sure to read the application requirements thoroughly even before submitting your application. So
Um,
that's.
yeah. Thank you so much, Abhidar, for that comprehensive statement on this aspect. Now, now I'd like to talk to you something about which we hear a lot from the students, especially when they're at the shortlisting stage. Is there any difference in private schools and versus public schools, especially in terms of funding and assistantships?
Okay. So basically, what public institutions, basically what it means is that the funding is from the state government, or from the taxing, or from the public, right? And in the
Correct.
private institutions, it is funding is through endowment or alumni network, alumni funding, and so on. So that is why when you are looking, when you are trying to filter out universities, and if at all you are looking into private universities, it is very important for you to know the alumni network of that institution, because if the alumni network is not that strong, that means the funding is not that great. So invariably it shows that there are not much funding available for students. So it's a very important point that students usually miss, to see the alumni network. How big is the alumni network? How much funding they have received from the alumni, and so on. So this happens in private, and in private there's no cap for anything. So usually what happens is private universities have capacity to fund more students, and more number of funding can be given usually. But there are some public institutions which are big, they also, there are very good fundings in these public institutions as well. And assistantships, again, as I mentioned, uh, the funding is from the alumni network in private universities and endowment and so on. So there are much more assistantships, paid assistantships on campus when it comes to private universities. And when it comes to public institutions, again, I'm not saying that it's going to be very less in public institutions or something like that, but there will be assistantships available, with paid assistantships available in public institutions. But comparatively, compare it to the private institutions, it's a bit lower on the funding side. That's it.
All right. That's a great insight into this aspect of private versus public schools in terms of funding. Thanks, Abhyuday. Now, I would like to move on to a slightly different aspect or a different level of program. There are many students who registered prospective doctoral program students, prospective PhD students. Are students automatically considered for funding in a PhD? If I'm applying for a PhD program, am I, automatically considered for funding? And for a PhD program when I apply as an applicant?
I missed your last part of the question, so it just I couldn't hear you.
So it's okay. Go ahead and answer, Abhyuday. I'll ask that after you finish.
Okay. So automatically consideration for funding, yes, it is. Again, it depends from university to university, but most of the PhD programs, if you get admitted to a PhD program, it is automatically full funding. At NYU Tandon, all the research, all the PhD admits get 100% funding and a stipend as soon as they start, and it is automatically given to them. So there are PhD programs wherein the university will offer like 75% of it, and then the 25% has to be borne by the student. But there are PhD programs. There's this MS PhD program wherein the first year where you will have to take classes, you will be paying by yourself, and from second year onwards, once you take up that PhD exam, and once you pass that PhD exam, then the funding will start for you. So these type of different programs are available across different universities and across US. So it is best to see, if you are applying for a particular PhD program, it's best to go and see in that particular university, in that particular department, to see whether it's 100% funded automatically, or is it something else that you have to submit and things like that. Usually there are usually most of the times it's 100% funding is given for PhD students. But again, there are exceptions to this, based on the funding available for the programs, based on the departmental funding available. So based on these, sometimes departments may not choose to give you full funding. So it depends from university to university.
Yes, I think that's the key there. I suppose, it depends on the university, and the students, prospective students have to check with the universities that they have shortlisted, what kind of funding is available there. Abhivay, also just to add on to this, is the funding for PhD programs, I mean, is it usually awarded for the entire duration of the PhD, or is it year on year?
See, usually what happens is when the PhD students are have gotten their when they get their admit, the funding is given for all the 5 years, 5 years or 6 years, however long they are doing the PhD. It's usually given for the whole five or 6 years. There's no break in between. But what happens is sometimes there are exceptions. Sometimes what happens is when the student is not doing well, or PhD's first 1 or 2 years is just the student will be taking courses under a faculty, will be thinking about what research to do. And sometimes what happens is that students are not able to keep up the GPA, or they're not able to clear the PhD exams. In those cases, the funding may be removed, or usually they don't faculty will not give you multiple times to cope up yourself or pass the exams, and they'll try to motivate you to get higher grades and so on. But there are cases where the funding was removed from the student, and those are very few cases. But yes, the funding commitment is for all the 5 years.
Okay, all right, thank you.
That is why I just wanted to add something. So that is why when you get a PhD admit letter with a funding letter, you don't have to, when you're applying for an I-20, to get an I-20 to go for the visa, you don't have to send a different document from the sponsorer, or you don't have to send any bank details and things like that. You just have to send this letter, and your I-20s will follow up after that.
All right, thank you for that bit of information up there. So now let's move on to the aspect of once a student goes to the campus, and I mean to the United States, and is there enrolled as a student. So we discussed during, I did mention about the assistantships. So how important, I mean, is it even important for a grad student to get in touch with the professors or the department to be awarded these assistantships?
Yes, students should and must get in touch with faculty. But what happens is that when you are here in India, and when you have applied to a particular university, and then you get an admit from this university, and but you are sending an email from here. Keep in mind, these faculties are like very busy. They are already having so many PhD students under them. They'll have to take care of that. They'll have to take care of classes. So it becomes a bit difficult for them to reply to your emails and things like that. Or maybe if you try to call, there won't be any reply. So my best advice to these is, when you reach the university, you make an appointment. You go in as a new student. So that time these faculty, they will have their administrators under them, assistants under them. So make an appointment with them, talk to them. And again, just making an appointment, going and talking to them and just asking, can I get an assistantship, doesn't really cut the deal. You will have to see which, if you have done some research in your undergrad, or if you have worked on a particular subject, or if you have done some paper published, if you have published any papers, so you will know what interests you the most and what you want to do. So see which faculty is actually doing research on that particular subject of yours. And once you see that some faculty is doing research on that interest, so that's why, coming back to Sohail's point, you should be very careful while selecting the universities, because while selecting the university, these are the homeworks you should be doing, like whether the interest what you have, the passion towards a program what you have, whether these things are actually available in this university or not. For example, if you are really interested in robotics, and you have applied, you have chosen these universities, and then you come to know after getting an admit, there's no research on robotics at all. There's just a program there. There's no research on robotics, nothing there. So it becomes a waste of time to go through all those things. So when you're doing a research on universities, these are the things you need to see, whether these things are available in the department, whether there's research going on, whether there are faculties in this, whether there are PhD students in these type of things. So once you connect the dots, like what your interest is and what the research the faculty is doing, once you can connect a link, or once you can connect the dot, and always faculties are looking for students who can contribute to their research projects or a research paper and things like that. So if you, when you make an appointment and when you go and talk to them saying that you can make a contribution towards that particular research, then they will be very interested to talk to you. So this is the way you should actually plan and then go forward. And definitely, yes, you should definitely get in touch with your faculty. Most students, when they come to the university, they are having advisors to advise on different programs that they have to register for the first semester. And sometimes these advisors are invariably the faculty people. So you will be meeting these people. And in US, most universities will have their departmental welcome event when new students come. So they'll introduce everyone, all the faculties, to new students. So that is when you make a note whom you want to meet, and just talk to them, take an appointment, and then talk to them. So this is how you approach when go and looking for an assistantship and so on.
Okay. Just staying on the similar aspect, when a student is there in the United States as, enrolled as a student and studying. I've discussed about OPT and CPT. In a one-year master's program, how does a CPT work? And also, I would just like you to comment upon the aspects of how different is a co-op program from an assistantship and CPT.
That's a very good question. I think, Sohail, you have explained what CPT actually is to students. So let me not go into detail with it. Let me answer the question. In a one-year master's program, so CPT is usually, you do it after you have finished 2 semesters or 1 year, 9 months. But in a one-year program, how do you do it, right? It is possible. How is it possible is that in the curriculum, if the university has mentioned in the curriculum that the practical part is required for this one-year program, then the student can start CPT from the first semester itself. So it should be in the curriculum saying that the student is required to have the practical knowledge and to work with so and so employers or profession. So if it is mentioned in the curriculum, then it is possible to work. Else, you'll have to wait for 9 months and then start your CPT. So the next question is, how different is co-op from an assistantship and CPT? So
Right.
co-op is nothing but a student is working full time with an employer, or full time with a company, taking a break from a semester. So how you can take a break from a semester? Usually international students cannot take any break from a semester, but if you have a very good opportunity where the employer wants you to work full time in a full semester, probably in the fall or spring, so you can make a request to your academic advisor, and then they will issue a special course for you where you will not get any credits per se, but your full time equivalency will be there for the university. So you can do that co-op and work with the work with the employer. So in the co-op, you can work with any employer on anything, right? But in CPT, what happens is you should choose something to work on whatever is there in the curriculum. You cannot go outside. So you cannot go and tell your academic advisor that you want to work in a McDonald's, right? If you're a computer science student, or if you're let's say civil engineering student, you cannot go and say, okay, I want to go and work in McDonald's, or I want to go here. So you should establish how that particular experience will help in your curriculum. So that's what CPT is called, curriculum practical training. And assistantships are nothing but working on campus. You can do it from day one. So it can be research assistantship, as in you can work with faculty. As a master's student, you can work with faculty on research projects, and they will call it as research assistantships. Or there are teaching assistantships where you can teach some undergrad classes, and there are graduate assistantships wherein you get paid bi-weekly or monthly payment as and when you work. So these are assistantships or CPT and co-op differences.
All right. Thank you so much, Abhyuday. I think we have discussed a lot of, and you've answered many questions. But we do also have some of the student questions now. We can move on to those, and I will start reading out those questions. So we have one first question from Zoom. It's a Zoom platform. How common is a fellowship for MS program? For a master's program, basically.
How common?
Yes, that's a question we got from Jeevan.
Okay. So if I understand the question properly, it's not common. Like how easy it is to get a fellowship, or probably it's like that probably, because it's fellowship, or when it comes to fellowship, assistantship, CPT, everything is not easy. It doesn't come in a platter to you. You will have to work towards it. Definitely, fellowship requires a bit more paperwork, and because it's usually funded by the governments and things like that. So but master students, as master students, you can still get assistantships, fellowships, when you're doing masters. But it's not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of competition from students to get those fellowships. But there are students who definitely get these fellowships also. I think I probably answered it.
I think so. If that's what we understood that question correctly, please do put in the chat box, Jeevan, if you have answered your question or if you have understood your question correctly. So let's move on to the next question. We may have kind of touched upon this a bit, but anyway, I'll read this out for you. How much do TARA positions pay on average in the United States? And also he has a question about are scholarships offered at the time of admissions provided only on the basis of CGPA?
Okay, the first part is it's regards to
the average TARA positions, how much do they pay?
So it depends from university to university. To give you a brief,
right.
When it comes to teaching assistantships, usually it is highly paid when it comes to teaching assistantships. And when you say research assistantships, it's a different thing for PhD, and it's a different thing for masters. When you're a master's student and you're doing some research assistantship, there are two things can happen in there. One is that you can get paid bi-weekly, as I mentioned, or monthly, or the faculty may give you funding for your tuition directly. So these two things, these two scenarios can happen. But at NYU, it depends again. If you're looking at what is the exact rate, it depends from university to university, program to program, department to department. But at NYU Tandon, for the graduate assistantship and research assistantship, we usually give almost $15 to $18 per hour. As an international student, you can work up to 20 hours. So you will get anywhere between $15 to $18 per hour, depending on what type of research you're doing, what type of graduate assistantship it is, depending on that. And when it comes to teaching assistantships, so we, again, as I mentioned, we at NYU, we have two types of teaching assistantships, wherein a faculty may pay the whole semester tuition for you instead of paying bi-weekly, or they can pay you bi-weekly. So bi-weekly also, it comes up to $20 to $25 per hour. So these are the things, these are the approximates at NYU. Again, differs from university to university.
Exactly.
So the next question was with regards to scholarship, right?
Yes.
Okay. So with regards to scholarship, again, yes, your CGPA is very important. Not only for scholarship, even for your admission, your GPA is going to be very important factor. I actually answered this question when we were discussing, I
Right.
think.
Yes.
But as you know, Sohail was asking that, GRE waivers have been given. So how will they look into the scholarship and things like that? So they will look into all other academic profile of yours, like what have you achieved in your 4 years of bachelor's and so on. But GPA is very important, and followed by the GRE scores. So let me give you out that, because when the scholarship committee is reviewing your application, they will not go into a lot of details with letters of recommendation and everything. So they look into your GPA, they might look into your GRE scores. I'm not saying that they will not go. I mean, they can see all the documents, but usually what happens is they look into your GPA, they look into your GRE scores, they look into your statement of purpose. What have you written? What type of person you are? What passion do you have? And usually they look into the resume also. If you have had any academic related experience, like research experience, or published any papers and things like that. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Abhida. So we have one question on YouTube. So I think this is again a very common question. Maybe you can very briefly try and answer this. So he's asking, hello, sir. I'm trying for 1-year program in filmmaking in NYFA or USC. Can I get any kind of scholarship or financial aid or funding? Because, how can I proceed without any basic support from my family?
I lost you, Sohail. I couldn't hear the
Sorry. So what he's asking is, I mean, this is a very common question that we also get. I think this is more about, doing their research, but you can very briefly answer this, Abhira. So he's asking, hello, sir. I'm trying for 1-year program in filmmaking in NYFA or USC. Can I get any financial aid? How can I proceed? Because, I have very minimal support from my family.
Okay. So NYU has the film program, but I won't be able to give you exactly how much funding is available from that particular school of NYU, because but usually what happens is these type of things are there on the admissions website, and you
Correct.
can definitely write to them. Again, I'm sorry that I cannot give you the exact answer, but if you write to them, definitely you will get an answer. uh, Funding is available for master students in almost all schools of NYU. So you should probably reach out to one of the admissions representative in that particular school, and then see if at all there is funding. Or what you can do is you can email me, and I will forward the email to the respective department, and then they'll probably email you directly the answer.
Yes.
But when
Abhi's email is on the screen, so please do take a note of that, and please write to him if you have any questions pertaining to NYU to Abhyuday. Abhyuday, let's move on to the next question. This is from Shubham. He's asking, how should I frame my SOP, especially when looking at scholarships? Is there a separate essay or anything else that is required for this?
For us, when you're writing your SOP, you don't write it for scholarship. You write it for you write it for the program, what you're interested in. You write it why you want to, why are you choosing this program, and what is what you want to achieve by after graduating from this university. So these are the things. I think EducationUSA has had a very good session on statement of purpose. In fact, even I attended that as a student. So I think statement of purpose, you are actually telling the admissions committee like why they should actually give you the admission. That's all, right? So it
Yes.
doesn't scholarship. You don't write about I want scholarships in SOP and things like that. But there are universities where they require you to have. They will have a different application for scholarships. So there'll be different deadlines for scholarships. So keep an eye out on that. And at that point of time, they might ask you to write probably a statement of purpose, that why you need a scholarship, what type of things. They might ask you in that form, like what you want to do. There are universities which have applications separately, but as I mentioned at NYU Tandon, we don't have any separate deadlines for scholarships, or we don't have a separate scholarship form or anything. Every student who applies will be first reviewed for admissions, and once the student has been admitted, then the scholarship committee actually takes over and reviews their application for scholarship, for a merit-based scholarship.
All right. Thank you, Abhida. Now let's move on to next question. Again, this is from Yash. He's asking, how can international students fund themselves apart from TAs and RA positions? Abhida, maybe you can talk about Tandon School, give an example from NYU.
What is it about? Can you repeat the question?
How can international students fund themselves apart from TA, RA, and similar other assistantships?
Okay, so I'll talk about NYU Tandon, how students can fund themselves. First thing is, scholarship is there, where you can, you will get some scholarship if you have a good academic profile. And if not scholarship, then there are assistantships. Other than assistantships, there are opportunities for students on campus. Like, for example, there will be a competition on, for example, for cyber security, there's every year there's a competition on cyber security. So what happens is, whichever team wins, everyone gets like almost $10,000 each. So these type of competitions are also available on campus, where students can earn. Or probably like there was an entrepreneurship competition where a student has to come up with a business idea. So the first 5 business ideas will get so much money. So these are like few of the other things wherein students can take part in, and then try to get funded by themselves. But other than that, I don't think you cannot work off campus for sure for the first 1 year. And after the first 1 year, then you can look for internships and then try to fund yourself like that. So that's it.
Yeah. So yes, please do look out and reach out to alumni and things like that. I think so that you will get an idea about what kind of opportunities that may be available. So let's move on to the next question. I think this is a little specific question, Abhyuday. So she's asking. This is from Shruti. She's asking, "Hi, I'm applying for PhD programs for fall 2021. She got a TOEFL score of 99, and I think she means NYU. So this is directed directly to you, I suppose. Will I be able to get teaching or graduate research assistantships there?"
So she's applying for a PhD program, correct?
Yes.
So if she's applying for a PhD program, then there's no question of research assistantship or teaching assistantship. She will be, if she gets admitted, then it's 100% funding. Plus the stipend will start from first year itself. So the stipend for that stipend, you will be working under the faculty whom you have chosen to do your PhD program. So he will be guiding you. Probably he might give you some assignments to work on, to do some research, or probably do some tutoring job and things like that. But there'll be stipend available. I think the stipend right now is around $2,500 to $3,000 per month. So one more thing I would like to mention, for PhD, there's only one intake for NYU. We do not have an spring intake for PhD programs. We have only fall intake for PhD programs. And for the fall intake, the deadline is December 15th. So for the fall 2021, the deadline for PhD program is December 15th. So, you should get your documents, all the documents submitted before then.
Thank you, Abhyuday, just for pointing that out. It is very important for all of you who are attending today to make sure or be aware of the deadlines. In different schools have different deadlines. To make sure that you go and go and check and are aware of those deadlines as well. Thanks, Abhita. Now let's move on to next question. This is from Naman. Um, Let me read this. The assistantships in generally seem to be in RA or TA. I'm planning my MS and Masters in Engineering Management, which is slightly tilted towards business as well. So I feel there is low chances of getting RA and TA. What other options do I have of getting uh, funding?
So it's not only for if you're looking at the management perspective or business perspective, if you don't have an RA or a TA, you can definitely apply for other types of assistantship, like graduate assistantships, wherein you will be working in an office like an administrator. So these you can apply for these type of jobs. At NYU Tandon, there are like office or organizing events assistantships, or working in a particular office, working at HR, working on payroll. So these type of assistantships are available for management students. And at NYU Tandon, you do have opportunities to do research also in business, in management. So you'll have to just look into it, look and see what faculties are doing, what type of things they are doing. So you will get an idea of what exactly research is going on, what different faculties are trying to do in the management and business perspective. So I don't know which universities you are looking at, but if you look at NYU Tandon, there are opportunities for students in management also. We do have MS in Management of Technology program, in which you can become a RA. TA is not possible, but you can become an RA under a faculty, or you can apply for graduate assistantships where you can work in different offices in the administrative sector.
Right. Thank you, Abhitay. So we have another question on YouTube from YouTube. So, sir, how should a student with low GPA approach the funding? Like, what should a student do to get funding in case a student has low GPA?
Great question, but
Yes.
but see, GPA is one thing you cannot change or you cannot do anything. If you have a low GPA, then it becomes difficult for you to make a case. But there are other things also which you can do. Probably have a very high GRE score, or you might have had a chance to work with a faculty on a publication, or probably you can have some research experience in undergrad. So these are some of the things you can do. But frankly speaking, to all the students out there, when you have a low GPA, then your chances are very low. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah. Thank you, Abhidar, for that. I think, like I also mentioned, these two aspects are important, but, when you cannot change your GPA, you should focus on something that, you can work on, like, Abhidar mentioned, your GRE scores or your other aspects of the application component. Okay, so let's move on to next sets of questions here. This is Shushti. Does the tier of your undergrad university matter when it comes to acquiring scholarships?
does what?
The tier, what type of university do you come from?
Usually, yes, they actually look into the university. Like, for example, if a student is from IIT or tier one schools, definitely they have an upper hand in the admissions review when they are reviewing admissions. When it comes to scholarship, it doesn't matter so much from which university exactly you have graduated from, because they are actually looking at your GPA and GRE scores. And sometimes scholarship committees do look into the universities, because if you take, for example, India, there are like so many universities, and the grading system is also different. Some universities are very strict and some universities are very easygoing. So these are the aspects they also keep in mind when they're reviewing uh, for the scholarships.
Right. Thank you. So I'm going to club next two questions, Abhyuday. So the questions are, given the current pandemic situation, how will it impact getting need-based funding from the universities? Now, this is one question, and then again a similar question, or at least in the similar area, is how likely is a full scholarship, and usually how much need-based aid is awarded in terms of percentages?
So, for the first question, need-based funding during the pandemic. So, most of the universities have actually cut down their budgets. So, there will be a bit of less funding for students, but I don't think they are going to. But if you take, for example, at NYU Tandon, there's no. We have not lowered our funding at all. So again, it depends from university to university what they're looking at, what their plans are for the next fall 2021. Because at present, that most of the students have deferred their admissions from fall 2020 to spring or fall 2021. So that funding also gets included for the next year. So there will be some implications, but again, it depends from university to university. If the university is big and they can take over, you still there won't be any difference in the funding. The second part was, what was it, Sohel?
Um, so she was asking how much does need-based aid generally cover? I think she's asking in terms of percentage.
Okay, need based usually depends from university to university. Um, Years ago, NYU had need based funding. So, if I can recall, at that point of time, we awarded anywhere from 10% to up to 40%. Also, we have awarded the need based funding. So, again, it depends from university to university how they are looking into the funding and how much they are actually the need based funding, how much they're keeping aside for the need based funding.
All right. Thank you, Abhyuday. I think we're almost running out of time, but we'll try and answer a few more couple of questions more. And if you do have any questions on your screens, you can see our email. There is Abhyuday's email. If you have any questions directly related to NYU or Tandon School of Engineering, you can please write to Abhyuday, or if you have any other general questions, please do write to Education USA on the email that you can see on your screens. Okay, so we have one question. I don't know. Are stipends taxed in some states? Is there an answer for that, Abhyuday?
What is it?
Are the stipends, are they taxed in United States?
The PhD, yes, the stipends are actually taxed because you get in like a paycheck, so it is taxed. But the funding what you get for PhD, like the tuition waiver what you get, that is not taxed as of now. But there was a bill, at the in the this thing where they are planning to tax even the tuition waiver. But if that happens, then it will be a bit difficult. But a stipend is taxed, yes.
Okay, I think we'll try and answer this one last question about TAs again. Um, what if somebody has teaching experience? Does it help in teaching assistant? I mean, getting teaching assistantship.
Yes, definitely. I mean, if you have teaching experience, then definitely you will have an upper hand compared to other students who do not have that experience. But still, when you apply for teaching assistantships, you still have to go through the same channel where you will be interviewed and where they will ask you to, do an probably an exam or something, things like that. So these are the things at NYU Tandon. For example, at NYU Tandon, we have teaching assistantships for C++ programming for undergrad students. So what happens here is that there is a exam which happens where students have to give this exam. It's an open book exam, and whoever fares well in this will get teaching assistantship, and then there will be an interview process to see that you have the basic skills of doing a presentation or teaching and things like that. So to answer your question, yes, definitely. If you have teaching experience, definitely it will help you, provided that the teaching assistantships is available in the university.
Right. I think we have answered most of the questions, Abhyuday, and we are out of time also. So, like I mentioned, please do reach out to us to the email that you can see on your screens if you have any further questions, or reach out to an Education USA Advising Center nearest to you. Thank you so much, Abhyuday, for taking out time today and answering all these student questions and talking to Education USA on this very important topic where students have usually a lot of questions. So thank you so much, Abhyuday. Um, and before we close, I would like to let you know that we also have a parallelly discovery series going on. Please, on your screens, I would say that try and take a screen grab. These are the various sessions that we are doing on different streams of study in the United States. So you may want to register for this if you are interested. And also a very big announcement, we have graduate fair coming up on October 2nd and 3rd. So you must have already registered. So please do, you should receive emails from us shortly. The registration link is also there on the screens. And if you have any questions, please visit our website, or you can also get in touch with us for the contact details. We have over 100 universities attending this fair. So you can directly talk to all these universities. And I'm going to put in the chat box, I'll try and put a link also, which you can access in a second. So, hoping to see you, all of you, at this fair, graduate virtual fair, where you can directly interact with over 100 universities. Again, Abhyuday, thank you so much for joining today's session and answering all our questions. So we are out of time, and we will end the session now.
Thank you very much, Sohel. Thanks for having me. I would like to thank all the students who took the time to attend these sessions. So you have my emails, and if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Thank you. Thanks again.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.